Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do an interview with Xiao. We are going to interview with the help of our guides and aliens, alien races with both gender or no gender, just to see how they balance out the masculine and feminine energy and see if there's anything we on this dimension and this plane can take away from it, to learn from it and see how they do it. So blessings, everyone. I don't know, Xiao, if you want to add anything, but
Thank you. I think that's pretty good.
Good. Okay, so I know my guide is here.
How many are they?
I have my guide, just the female guide. Your Zeta guide is here.
Oh, Dr. Gray. Okay.
Mhm. We have some Andromedans. They're not the usual Andromedan. This is like a different race of Andromedan. They're more physical.
Yeah. Andromedans are very diversified.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge galaxy, so
Yeah.
it's going to be very diverse. So these ones are third and fourth. They're upper third, kind of like us, and going into fourth dimension.
That's great.
Or most of them are in fourth.
Mm-hmm.
They're interesting looking. They're humanoid.
Yep.
Their skin is kind of like scaly, like a fish.
Uh-huh.
The color is like light blue.
Yep.
Oh, their hands are like I'm losing my vocabulary. They're woven. They're kind of like, what is it called?
Like a fish, like a.
Yeah, it's woven. I think that's the
Yeah.
word for
Yeah,
it.
no. I mean, yes.
That's I can't see their feet, but that's what they look like. And the one that's stepping forward is not very. He's about like 6 feet tall.
Okay.
He's trying to give me a name to address him by. So he's saying he has no gender,
Oh, great. Okay.
but there are others like him, but that have both genders. Some identify as female, some identify as male. He's stepping forward for now.
Yep.
It seems like they're a collective. He's the leader or
The one.
the wise person in the group,
Oh, wow.
wise
Okay.
man. So he has a lot of information to share. He will give us information not only on the no gender, but
And
all like genders.
does he got a name so we can.
Yeah, he's trying to. Well, obviously, I can't pronounce the name that he came up with, so he's gonna give me a human name. Gandal,
Guidal?
Gandal, Gandal.
G
That's
A D A L. Gandalf?
Yeah, Gandal is what he's going by.
Okay.
Okay, so feel free to ask your question.
Okay, thank you for coming through. We are very honored. So again, I want to ask you, can you give us some background information about your race, like the name of your race, where are you located, situated, some political or social structure information.
Okay. They just are identified by Andromedans, I guess.
Okay.
He says we are Andromedan. He is in the fourth dimension. Most of the society is ascending into the fourth dimension. They're in 3D right now.
Yep.
They are very physical. Their society is, they're getting finally getting their act together. They're becoming one. They did have conflict, but not with each other. There's other species that occupy their land. They are the equivalent of our giant beings, like dinosaurs, but bigger.
Yep.
So these beings that I'm looking at, they live in water, and also they can live on land.
Oh, okay. I see.
Most of the times they're in water. There are other water beings that they communicate with that are of the same wisdom,
Uh-huh.
but those are primarily in water.
So what
They don't have a money system. They have
Yep.
trade,
trade? Interesting.
bartering.
Yep.
Technologically, they are becoming advanced. This communication, it's not like on my part is meditation, on their part it's technology and meditation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I guess my guide is the one that brought them to us.
Yeah.
Okay, what else did you want to know?
What's Gendo's his race's connection, not he or she, it's like their race's connection with our humans. Do they have any political affair with our Earth?
Good question. Yeah, he said we became they became aware of us about 20 years ago. They are how many? Their civilization is more advanced than ours, obviously, and he's putting a number to it, like how many years in advance, or
Yep.
they are.
Yep.
300 years.
Wow. Okay.
And anyway, so they do communicate with, they just opened communication with our world governments.
Yep.
Peace talks is what he's telling me that they're trying to achieve.
Right. So they
Because
focus on peace talks. Okay.
yeah, it seems like our ascension relies on it depends on theirs, or theirs depends on ours. Like we're supposed to be ascending together. They're kind of a little ahead of us,
Yeah.
but they are helping us in that way.
So why do they help us? What's the not a word of benefit or interest is why is so important for them to help us? It's just purely by personal interest, or there's any
yes, that too, but also it looks like
some connection we have to ascend together, some kind of
yes, we do. Our planets, ours and theirs, energetically they're connected. Not like twin flames or anything, but we are of the same family, our planets. And so when one ascends, the other goes with it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So what we are going through now, they went through 300 years ago. So they're almost at the end of their ascension.
Oh, wow.
We are at the beginning of it. So obviously they know what needs to be done. So they're trying to help us with that.
Sure. My next question for you is, can you just use a few words to describe your race's character and personality? For example, does your race is like more passionate, calming, or a few key words to describe your race's personality, basically characters?
Okay. Okay, he's saying their evolutionary process is similar to ours. They've gone through the bloodshed, the barbarianism. within each other and also with the other creatures, the other land creatures.
Uh-huh.
But now, if you're asking where they're at now, as far as how they describe themselves, they are together as a collective now. They're more, so compassion is one towards each other and others. Their evolutionary process has helped them realize and see how much you can achieve together. Love is major. Loving, compassionate. 1 second. This is interesting. Along with the loving and compassion, they also identify themselves as warriors. They've won many battles.
How interesting.
They're showing me with the reptilians, the insectoids. It seems like they have a certain several minerals or some kind of an element that these two races are after, the reptilians and the insectoids. So they've been invaded many times. And actually, during these invasions, those land creatures we talked about that used to attack them, they actually came together with them.
Oh, wow. Okay. Fight together.
Yes.
If he also mentioned that he's, like Gandalf's race is more sometimes warrior focused.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a lot of warriors do have ego problem. How can they deal with ego problem? Do they have ego or aggression?
Yes. They know how to control it. So, of course, over time, they learn how to do that. They learn to focus the ego on the main task at hand. Like, obviously, when you're being invaded, you use your ego to give you the aggression to fight off whoever is invading you. They learn how to use it towards what feels like the right direction, not towards each other. They learn how to control that, if that makes sense to you.
Oh, wow.
So they are in complete control of their ego.
Hang on a second. That's the very interesting things I want to learn from them. How do they control their ego? How? Like, is that by spiritual lesson? Or is there any tips they can share with us? This will be very important advice.
It comes with the evolutionary process, he says. As you're going to learn to do that, as you're moving along into the higher dimensions, you become more aware of yourself. Self-awareness is key, he says. There's no tricks or tips. He just says that your mind is expanding, your heart is expanding, so you become more aware. It's just a knowing that comes to you. Wow. But you have to go through these painful steps before you can get to that.
So what's the life?
You learn from your past, huh?
What's the lifespan for
them? Mm-hmm. As they start ascending towards 4D, it became longer. So he's telling me the longest their race can live is 200 years, but the average is around 150, 140, 140 of our years.
I see. Okay, next I want to ask Gandalf's race about gender conflicts. If he or she came from the race with both genders, I want to know what's the most unique spiritual lesson for their race.
For someone with both genders?
Both genders, compared with other ETs with, males and females.
Balancing it, he says.
Balancing.
They go through many lessons of balancing it, but they're not as painful as they are here. Because there, they're more accepted and more known. It's not taboo not to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
They have a special kind of like a school for them. So from the age of when they start becoming aware of that, for them is like around the age of 8. Between the age of 8 and 28 is when they go through their lessons.
Right. So it's like a baby for them. Right. 28.
Yeah. So they I don't want to say they separate them from the rest, but they do have a special school for them to learn more about themselves. Some of them start identifying with one, like they have both male and female. Some can say, I want to identify, I feel more female or I feel more male. And some just identify with both. So this is where they learn more about themselves to see which way they want to go, if there is a certain way. But it's all open and it's all accepting and loving. It wasn't always that way.
So from the physical structure, they are both. But from the mental sort of state, they can choose whether they are tending to be more female or tend to be more male.
For some.
Or they can be both mentally.
Yeah, sometimes they can be both.
So what's the most challenging thing for your race when you're trying to balance both genders, like the mental genders within you?
It was challenging in I wouldn't say the beginning, but before they came to this point, because they were sort of like us. They didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't have a school or anything before all of this. They just let them be. And sometimes without guidance, they didn't know how to identify with the male or female. So there was a lot of conflict, inner conflict. And so some were choosing to what we call suicide. Some became more aggressive, lost. Destructive. Okay.
So could I say that being an ET being with both genders would be more challenging things to do, to handle, compared with like human with, separate genders?
In some ways. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because we don't have that kind of problem we have to deal with. Like once you're born, you're a girl, you're a girl. It seems like for them, they have to go through a much more painful state.
In some ways, yes, but there's a lot that or I don't know if I should call him he doesn't care. Gendal, there's a lot that he doesn't agree with that we do here. We kind of force the feminine or masculine energy on children here. Like, for example, when you find out you're having a baby girl, you decorate everything in pink. You're forcing that onto the child. What if the child doesn't identify? Even though the child is female, some females feel like they're in the wrong body. There's a lot of that conflict here.
Yeah.
So for them, they allow the child to make their own decision. Like let them discover themselves.
That is so true. Because I like the color of blue and yellow, even though I'm a girl.
Right. So it's societal stuff here. Mm-hmm. And we unknowingly, because of the conditioning, this is what he's saying, force that onto the children. This is, you should play with trucks and not Barbies, or vice versa. You should like the color blue. You're a boy. A lot of that conditioning goes into our society, when in fact we should just allow the kids to choose. Yeah. And that keeps them connected to their self, to who they are.
Wow, that's interesting.
Hmm.
So what's the advantage of being a race with both genders? Once you
Okay.
master the
Yes.
polarity, what's the benefit of it?
Point of view is different, he says. You're able to approach situations and point of views from both feminine, masculine emotional aspects.
Yeah.
Most of these multi-gender, or what is it, hermaphrodites in their society become teachers, guides, because they're able to go into each both points of view, feminine and masculine, and they can relate more. Now I'm asking about their reproductive, like,
Yeah.
are they able to reproduce?
Or are they just like copy, like clone, like Zetas?
Yeah, they're reproductive. They reproduce differently than the rest. Now, the ones that identify as female, that are female, they don't have the male part, their reproductive process is similar to ours,
Yeah.
just a little bit longer, the gestation. The ones with both genders, it's like, it's not like laying an egg, but it is.
Okay.
He's showing me like the baby is in a sack.
Oh, okay.
So theirs is a little different. And yes, even though they have both genders, they still need another to um, impregnate them.
Okay. How about the one don't have gender? Do they just clone and copy from a template?
Okay, the ones with no gender have a different purpose. Not all of them are there to reproduce. The ones that have no gender, like him, are like the leaders. They take on a leadership role, so, and also their lifespan is a little bit longer. This is so interesting.
Hang on a second. Why is that? Why the being without any gender can take leadership role? Is that because they are more rational when they make such a decision, like any decision? What's the reason behind?
I guess you can say that, but one second, he's explaining it. One second.
Yeah, sure.
Um, I guess you could say rationale, but that doesn't mean the rest are not rationale. He's just saying that that's their purpose. Their life purpose is not to like mate with someone and have a life and have a family. There are very few that have no gender in their race.
But why they choose the being with no gender to be their leaders?
They're not chosen, they're placed there.
No, okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's not an election process.
Yeah.
When you're born without gender, you kind of know your destiny.
But I think I don't hit my question properly. What I mean is why the being with no gender being delegated to such a role or such a destiny rather than a male or female or
Right.
both genders?
Because the male, the ones that have male and the ones that have female or both gender have different purpose. It's not like our society where anyone can be a leader, sort of.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But for them, they have a role. Like his gender or non-genderness identifies his role. And then the female, she's not just tied to being a female, but, yes, she's there to reproduce, and she'll have other roles in society. For the non-gender, it's a little different. They're kind of tied to that role. So it's kind of like saying, well, I have no gender. I'm not going to have a family. This is my role.
Okay, sure. Let's move on. When the being with no gender or with both genders, what's the most challenging thing for them to deal with any other alien races with single gender?
It's hard for them to relate to just a single gender person.
Yeah. Is there anything
Now,
different?
the ones with no gender have a concept and idea of both genders, actually. Like the hermaphrodites, they can relate to both male and female. Same thing with the non-genders. They can relate to both male and female. So for them dealing with just like a male, it's hard for them to relate to them and come to their level.
Okay, I see.
But they have a certain knowing of how to deal with them. It just becomes difficult.
I see. I want to ask you about humans. It seems like certain human characters are more pronounced in different genders. For example, male are tending to have more ego-related issue, whereas women tend to have more jealousy-related issue. So I want to know what's his view or Gandalf's view on that.
On that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that has a lot to do with a lot of the past lives that you've had. If you've had a lot of male past lives, for example, and you're a female in this lifetime, or you're a male, you're going to have you're bringing a lot of that masculine energy with you. And obviously, if you come here as a female, you're trying to balance that out. What was the other part of your question? The females?
Sorry, I think I want to know why women has more jealousy and the man has more ego-related issue.
He doesn't see it that way because he sees that males have jealousy issues also, just as much as the females.
Yeah, but
the females, he's saying, are more nurturing and more, they're more in touch with the nature. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And they deal with a lot more emotional ranges than males. That's true. Jealousy is not one of them that women have more than men.
Oh, really? Okay. Because it's just my perspective. I could be wrong.
Right.
I found women, it's always a lot of problems are focused on jealousy-related issues, whereas men's always more or less ego problem. Not everyone, but sometimes. Seems like a more somehow have sort of like a tendency. Men's more, towards this and women's more towards jealousy. I want to know, is that because it's built in our gender's gene, like genetic reason, or it's more like about our social upbringing?
Part of it is your environment, your conditioning. And the other part, it's not about your genetics. Well, I guess you could say that, but it's not built into your genetics. It's just the energy that you bring into this world. You came to deal with certain things. So we're going back to past lives. The masculine energy is a derivative of ego, of course. So males have that to deal with, but also it aids them too in survival. So a lot of these emotions are part of our survival.
Okay, it's evolutionary reason. Pass. I see.
Yeah. They had to deal with that as well, but just not on the level we're dealing with it.
Okay. So the ego and the jealousy is not really more pronounced in any genders. It's just more individual things. Could we say that?
He's saying jealousy comes from inner conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So that is for them. It could be the same for us, an indicator of stuff you have to deal with. When you feel jealousy for someone or a certain situation brings that out, for them it's an indicator of something that they need to deal with internally.
I see. Yeah, okay. Because it's just from my perspective, I always felt like men got a more ego and women got a more jealousy related issue. It's just from my perspective. I think maybe they may have a different view or some kind of other reasons behind of this sort of like a phenomena.
I hear you. I'm smiling because there's a female that came next to him and she's holding I don't know, Gandalf, and she's holding his hand. I don't know if she's gonna speak, but she is there.
Okay.
Wow. She looks very, like feminine. She's got the breasts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's, let me ask him, is that like clothing or is that their skin? It's their skin, I guess. Very scaly and blue.
Yeah.
She does have hair.
Mm-hmm.
The scales are just all over her face. She kind of reminds me of, I'll think of it. There's a character. Was it X-Men? That shapeshifter?
Yes. Oh,
she reminds me of her. She's blue, a little bit lighter blue, but yeah.
Hey, regarding the blue, I realize almost every, not almost, like a lot of races do have a blue skin beings, either in Pleiades or in Sirius or in Andromeda. There's so many places. Why blue skin is so commonly exist in all, like most of the races? Is there any particular reason for that?
For most, he said it has to do with their environment, the atmosphere.
Okay.
And for others, it has to do with their dimension or like spirit, the light bodies spiritually where they are. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, it has to do with their energy and their light bodies where they are. Blue is, we call it calming, but yeah, it's peaceful. It's high vibrational, very high vibrational and spiritual.
Wow. And I want to ask him why there's not many black races in our galaxy. There must be some, but why they are not very commonly known to us? I find it's very strange. Because we got a Caucasian looking, we got a blue looking, only few Asian sort of like a yellow skin, but how about the black skin? That must be some, right?
Yes, they're not known to us, but there's every color is out there. It exists. Yeah. There are some reptilians that are darker. Even some Pleiadians.
But why don't they take a very active role in engaging with us? I think that would be the proper question.
He's just saying our society's not ready for them, but they are active in other societies. I mean, other worlds.
Yeah.
And it looks like their number is very few. There's not a lot, at least that's known to them. Now, remember, he's almost he's like third and fourth.
Yep.
So his awareness is not too much more than ours. So there could be more that even Gandalf is not aware of.
Okay. Because I would like to see more, like,
Different colors. There's
Yeah.
definitely, he's confirming there are. And no, they're not negative either. We associate that dark color with negativity. They're not all negative.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay. My next question is, are human always looking for someone or something to be worshipped with? Like we're always looking for an idol, either it's like celebrities or religious figure. I think it's somehow, is it because our social upbringing or it's built up in our genetics that we have to worship something?
That's a good question. Now, this is, he's saying from his perspective, it's not genetics. It is a lot to do with our conditioning of society, but also our spiritual age, where we are. This is interesting. You are aware of spiritual age, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so he's saying back in the Atlantis time, we reached a certain level of maturity where we did not need to be led. We knew ourselves, so we followed our heart more. And then we went into I wouldn't call it the dark ages, but where we disconnected from ourselves to go through lessons. So when we went through that, we felt the need to, we were lost. We lost the connection to ourselves. So we needed something to help us, to lead us spiritually. So we did look for that, oh, this brought me light. So let me just completely follow this and forget about myself. You know what I mean? We were a little lost. So we're going through that right now, but now we're going back to where we were in the Atlantean and partially Egypt times, where we're learning more about ourselves. We found ourselves, but we no longer need to worship. So it's just the cycle, the evolutionary cycle of the human that we are going through. And most of us have been through all of these cycles, so we're recalling a lot of that information to help us.
Right. Does Gandalf's race do have a worship sort of mentality, or they have highly evolved?
Have they ever had that? Yes. Yes. They did have religion similar to ours. He said that it brought them a lot of conflict. It did bring them knowledge, but they found that it brought them a lot of conflict. So they outgrew it.
Okay.
They do believe in God. Now they believe more in God. They're not praying to anybody else or, talking to anybody else.
Uh-huh.
So it seems like he's saying all roads lead to God. You will go through this process where you're identifying with, this guy, that guy, you're praying. It's okay to pray to angels and to Jesus or whoever you pray to, but eventually you're going back to God. You're going back to source, what we call God.
I have a very provoking question for him. I hope he can handle it. It's not very.
I hope I can handle it. Okay.
Well, like his brutal truth. There's many beings come to Earth, and a lot of ascended masters or like Elohims. They all appear to me. They do have legs. That means they are more like a land-based beings. So what I'm saying is, there's only few aquatic, like water beings, come over. Or seems like, I could be totally wrong. I hope so. They're a little bit behind towards evolutionary wise compared with the land-based beings.
The aquatic ones?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What's his view on that?
Oh, okay. You want to know what he thinks of that?
Yeah.
He says that's not true in every case. There are some water beings, aquatic beings, even on your Earth, that are more advanced, even if they don't have legs, that are more advanced than the humanoid ones.
Yes. Okay.
um, even in technology, he's talking about their race now. They are advanced. Is there any more to your question?
Yes, the reason I'm saying that the other things is because land-based beings are easier to access to certain elements or like chemicals. I'm not sure how you say it,
Like
chemistry.
minerals and stuff like
Minerals,
that.
yes. But aquatic-based beings may or may not have that access.
Yeah.
Or maybe their science understanding could be quite different because they are living in the oceans.
Mhm.
So I want to know, scientifically speaking, just judging by the technology, how they evolve to certain technology, if they are so oceanly, focused, living in the ocean.
So, well, they're both land and aquatic, these ones that I'm talking to. But if you're talking strictly just the water-based or,
Yeah, waterly based. Yeah,
water-based beings, their genetic makeup is different. Wow, that's really cool. He's showing me. You have ever seen those jellyfish that zap you?
Yeah.
So he's using that as an example. They have all of this technology within them, most water beings,
Okay.
and they can access it more. So it seems like they came already equipped with all that they need.
Oh wow. Okay.
And some of these creatures are on Earth. We just haven't discovered them. We have not discovered our water, or not fully haven't discovered our water basins. Like the animals. I
Yeah.
mean the beings.
Yep.
So yeah, they do exist here, and they add much of the vibration to the Earth.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, he just showed me just a gnarly looking fish that exists here that we have not discovered.
Wow. Okay.
It's very intelligent. Okay.
Mm, interesting. Because from what I've been told or studied from our mainstream science, that the deeper you go down in the ocean, the more primitive ocean-based being would be. So I would assume would be maybe very similar to water-based being in different galaxies, in different stars. I could be totally wrong, but what I mean is, what I'm trying to say is,
He understands, but he doesn't agree with primitive because to him, primitive means they're not tech advanced at all or intelligent. Is that what you're saying? The deeper you go, the more primitive, as in like into our ocean, like these beings are not advanced. It's actually quite the opposite.
Really? Okay.
The more
Because
intelligent.
the living condition could be too challenging for them to survive.
No, no. The deeper you go, there's so much we haven't really seen. The ones that you see on the surface are the primitive ones. They're the ones that are getting caught by humans and eaten, right?
Yeah.
So they're not that smart, is what he's saying, though. The deeper you go, the more intelligent they are, and they are the ones that, aside from adding vibration to the planet, also aiding and cleaning the oceans, and also communicating with alien beings.
Oh wow. Okay.
So much we haven't seen.
How interesting.
It's like they do, and now there is also negative ones too, but he's just only talking about the positive beings that are down there, fish or whatever, aquatic beings that do even peace talks and negotiations. It's like they have their own little society there.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Okay, so my next one is, I heard that this galaxy only has 12 densities. we're on the third and just about to go on fourth or fifth. So I want to know, is there any densities above the 12th density in our galaxy?
Yes. Yeah, only few have reached it. Very few.
Wow.
Now in other, like in Andromeda and in other galaxies,
Yeah.
they can easily go to 14, 15, 30, whatever. It's infinite.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. They say the numbering systems, like in this galaxy, you can only go from 0 to 12, and anything beyond that, from the 13 to say 20, it's merely just say it's in different galaxy. That does not mean 13th or a being came from the 17th density would be higher than the 12th or 11th density.
Your views, okay, I guess they're very human. So he's not, when you say we cannot go, that's not true. Just like how Gaia is going through her evolutionary process of going to a higher density, galaxies go through the same thing also.
Okay.
So as our galaxy also expands
Yep.
and joins with others, like Andromeda is joining it, they're headed. Shoot, I'm gonna just let it ring. No. I forgot to turn off my phone. I am so sorry, everyone.
Okay.
So as Andromeda and like our galaxy expands, those higher densities become more pronounced or easily accessible to us.
I see.
I gotta remember to turn off my phone next time.
Sure. I heard this saying, a being said to one of my friend, he goes, I came from sector 33 beyond nanospace. What's that mean?
33rd parallel or 33rd?
I don't know, like a 33
oh my
space
gosh.
or beyond nanospace. What's this really mean by beyond nanospace? Is it beyond our...
It's not, well, this is again from his perspective. Beyond nanospace means it's beyond of what's known to us.
Right. Okay.
That's simply what he's trying to say. Beyond our awareness, there is a lot more than we're aware of.
So going back to the galaxy and density things. So if somebody said to me, I came from the 17th density from different galaxy, that doesn't mean this being would be vibrating higher than any being from the 7th density in this galaxy, right?
If someone came from a higher density, you want to know if that person is automatically vibrating higher than you?
Yeah. Is the number...
Yes, no, it does mean they're vibrating higher, he's saying. In order for you to reach a higher density, you're raising your vibration, right?
I've been told quite differently, so I just want to clarify that issue about the numbering.
From his point of view, when you go to a higher density, you're doing it by raising your vibration.
Okay.
So when you vibrate higher, like he said, you have the bigger, you're literally raising yourself and you have a bigger view. That's what being in a higher density means, is you're raising your awareness and your vibration at the same time.
Okay, so from his understanding, which is the highest density from his knowing at this stage?
Known to them, to their race?
Yeah, including all galaxy.
Well, they know that there's infinite, but how far that their race has gone?
Yeah, or aware of any race.
Well, they're aware of infinite. There's infinite
Wow.
densities. As far as how far the race has gone, I think we know it's fourth density at the moment.
So we are still
They're just like us.
a lot of things to work up. Okay. Infinite. Okay.
There's infinite densities.
Sure. Next question is about crystals. Does Atlantean and Lemurian using the similar crystal that we are using right now, or their crystal was mined in different place?
He's connecting. I see like light flashing from his brow chakra. It's really cool. He has like a holograph image that he's sorting through. He's going through our history.
Yeah, okay.
Very similar to what they have, is the answer he's saying. Our environment has changed, so the nature of the crystal might change a little bit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But not enough to affect it in any negative or positive way.
So basically, the crystal which I can buy from eBay would be very similar to what
What they
Atlantean
had back then.
used.
Yeah, very similar.
And how Atlanteans using their crystal? Oh, well, one day I heard that the number of sides on crystal wand does have a different power. So if you have like a 10 faxes on one crystal, they're able to give you some kind of more vibration or somehow. So the higher number goes, the more energy you can attract. Is that true? Like if you have a crystal with 88 sides that attracts certain energy, like that is a very high vibrational energy.
That and also clarity, how clear it is, has something to do with it also.
Yes, yes. Does the number of
It
sides,
draws the energy. He's showing me. Each point
yep,
draws energy. Wow. Okay.
does double terminated crystal able to draw more energies?
Oh, he's showing me. Is it like?
Yeah, like a double terminal, so like a
Yeah, he's showing me it's draw. It's not. It may seem like it's more energy, but it's not.
Oh, I see.
No.
Okay, my next question for them would be, for our human being, our original of our species can be traced back to Lyran. Somehow Lyran created sort of like a human template. We sort of follow that kind of evolutionary roots. How about their race?
Where do they trace back to? The Lyrans?
Yeah, are they traced back to the Lyrans or the bird-like
Hmm.
being or reptilian sort of, or kind of ancestors?
I see feathers, so I'm thinking it's bird-like beings. It could also be reptilians. One second. Carrion race.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I know carrion race.
I'm not familiar with them. I know they are bird-like.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Does the blue avian are the descendants of the carrions?
They're close relatives, is what he's saying. Oh, he just sent me something. Okay, they're close relatives.
Where is Blue Avian came from?
I don't know. He's just showing me like from above, and there's massive light. Were they created? Maybe they were created. I mean, I guess we're all created.
Yeah.
He's not able to answer that, I guess.
Okay.
He's just showing me above.
Okay. Another thing I want to know, if our guides or even different beings or like him or her can view each other's past life incarnations, obviously they can check their colleagues and friends' past life incarnations. Would they form a preconceived idea about their friends when they meet each other because they can see through each other and say, I know your past life looks like? Do they have that preconceived idea? You know, like
that sounds.
They obviously know.
Oh, because they know?
Yeah.
Okay, he wants you to rephrase that question.
Okay, what I mean is when my spirit guides come through, they look at me, they are able to know all my past incarnations, you know, what kind of person am I like before. But when they look at each other, like our guides looking at them, each other, look at their friends or colleagues.
On their level?
They obviously know each other's past lives, right? Would they form a preconceived idea
about each other?
Treat their colleagues or friends differently because they may have a judgment?
They don't always have access to each other's files. They have access to your file because you have a contract agreement with them, right? It doesn't mean that same agreement exists within each guide.
Ah, I see how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not always able to check with each other's.
Unless they're open to each other about it, yes, they have an agreement, but they don't always have access to their files, like each other's files. And no, that at that level, you're not really like, when you say preconceived notions, it sounds like judgment, he's saying.
Yeah.
There's no judgment there.
There's no judgment there?
No.
Okay. I just want to check.
Sadly, that only exists here.
Because they may look at their friend and check their past life incarnations and realize that guy was
that's possible.
His or her enemies, you know, in past life. So I would think that quite.
That's possible, but they have at that level in spirit, because they are in spirit, it's all knowing and it's all understanding and it's all loving.
But how come if I go see a channeler, he or she able to read my Akashic records?
Your guides that channeler is contacting your guides and they're giving him or her access to your files, whatever is allowed.
Oh, all right. So it's not from, say, your guides get a direct access into my Akashic records. They have to go through my guide.
Yes, absolutely. Your guides are in control of that.
Oh, that's how it works. That is interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's not a free-for-all, he says.
So if that's the answer, then they cannot check each other's future timelines or possible timelines, even for Gendo's friends. Can he check his friends' future timelines?
No.
No?
He doesn't have access, even though it all has to be with like permission. And no, we can't tell each other about our future, he says. No.
Okay. If they are living in such a telepathic society, how can they keep secrets among each other?
Wait, say that again? I'm sorry.
How can they keep secrets among each other if they are highly telepathic? Like, it seems like there's no secrets. Everything is shared on the same platform.
That's a good question. 1 second. Yeah, there's still ways for them to keep secrets from each other, but they're not harmful. Because just because you're telepathic doesn't mean you can read everybody's mind. You can only read what I allow you to read. So you are still in control of your thoughts. But that comes with years of evolution.
Okay.
And they're still using technology. They're not totally telepathic. They're still using technology to get them there.
Is their technology being given by other advanced race, or they self-developed that kind
They
of
developed it. We're on our way to doing that.
Okay.
They developed it.
And also, some of the races in our galaxy has a very very advanced technology, but how can they keep away from each other? Like on Earth, people always have a copyrights in intellectual property to protect their inventions. How can they do so in different galaxies? Because Arcturians or Andromedans, some of them may able to have really advanced one. Do they actually stealing with each other? No, it's not the best word to say, but surely when somebody got some good things, other race might want to get a hand in it.
For the most part, I mean, again, this is the human view you're giving, but for the most part, sharing is not a problem in those densities. But there are some races like the reptilians and the zetas that like to keep it to themselves. They don't want others to advance. Yes. So that's not really, there's no patent. There's no way of you protecting it. You just physically do it. Or, I don't know, you just protect it. You don't allow others to use it. But there's no patents. Because patent means that it's okay for you to not share your technology. It's not part of the, I don't want to say culture, but the practice of those higher densities to do that. The higher densities are all about coming together and sharing.
Okay.
But within them, there are negative ones that do not want to conform.
Yeah.
So they have their own ways of keeping it to themselves.
I see. Okay. For human, if somebody invents something really nice, normally speaking, not always, either they can get a very nice reputation or monetary reward or something like something like that. If for their race they are highly evolved, what kind of benefits can they get in return? Because they don't have money system, they don't have that kind of like social status.
Yeah.
Is it just purely spiritually awareness, like they're happy to share with each other?
Their rewards comes in growth. Growth and expansion. Their society is different than ours in some ways. Some of these roles are given to certain individuals because that's what they came there to do in that life. It's not competitive, or no one's competing for status in society. It's sort of expected of that person to invent because that's what they came there to do.
Do they have a competition in their race?
Friendly, like sports, yes. They have sports and games, sort stuff like that, but they're not competitive for status in society.
If there's no competition in their society structure, how can they keep each other working hard towards the common goal? Because when people can work very hard, whereas other 9 people doesn't want to do anything.
They don't need it because they have a compassion and love that they share freely with each other.
So what he say is he would agree if there's two people want to work very hard and other 8 people doesn't want to do much, that's okay for his race.
Yes, because the
Because he's-
others are supporting in other ways.
I see.
Even when you feel like you're not doing your part, you are. You're supporting in other ways.
Is everything shared among each other equally?
Not necessarily equally, but yes.
Kind of.
Yeah. When you say equal, it sounds a little strict, but it's not.
Okay.
They still deal with conflict within each other.
Yep.
They
So
have
what's the-
like what we call a court system.
I want to ask their court system. That'll be interesting, the legal system.
Yeah.
Does their legal system based on the rule, like, section 1 says this, you shall not do this, do that? Or it's more like a jury system based on 5 or 6 people's guts feeling or instinct to make such decision?
It's to resolve conflicts purely. There's, I guess they do have certain rules, if you want to call them rules, but they're kind of guidelines for their world. And these guidelines protect all water beings, land beings. So when someone does step out of line or outside of those guidelines, they do have what you call a council of how many? 6.
Council of 6.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my phone keeps going off.
That's okay.
Yeah, they do have like 6 beings.
Yep.
And they're not all aquatic. They all look different. So they are the ones that come together and make the decision. And it's not punishment that they offer. It's counseling, rehabilitation, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
That's what they offer.
Besides the legal system, do they found, okay, if a decision has been reached by the High Council, is there any way they need to enforce such judgment? Because you may have a judgment, but nobody enforcing it means, yes, I got the judgment, but I'm not going to comply with it. Do they just comply with the judgment automatically, or they just have to be harshly forced in a certain way?
There are some cases where it was harsh. And in that case, that person who would not comply was released from society, was released to go onto the mainland where all those giant beings are. And if that person is lucky, they will survive and come back. It wasn't like you're released now and you can never come back. There's always, the doors are always open for them to come back.
Oh, wow. Do they have a death penalty?
No, but I guess you can consider that one. Them being released into the wilderness, that could be a death penalty.
So basically, if somebody in his race or her race did something wrong, very wrong, they will be released to that giant. If he or she can survive and come back, all the guilt will be erased or forgiven.
They usually come back with a higher awareness. They will be rehabbed, I guess, if they come back. Okay. And what they consider harsh is something that a being does that affects all or the majority.
Let's see. How the water being, aquatic being, travel to Earth? Because they don't have a leg. Do
They have not traveled to Earth. They have not been here. They just communicate with us.
sure. I mean, aquatic beings in general, not just from his race, like could be in Sirius or in other planets.
Oh,
Do they, considering they don't have legs, do they just fill their spaceship with a tank of water and land in the ocean?
yes,
It's a very
they're,
simple thing to say, but
that's,
I'm very curious how they
you
actually.
just showed me that. Yeah, they have some have like Syrian ships, Syrian beings. Their ship is like organic and it's filled with, yeah, it's water.
Wow. So they land in the ocean.
That's really cool. Huh? Yes. Do they land in the ocean?
Yeah, because if they land on the land and open their spaceship,
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just curious. Just
I don't
silly.
know if they've touched down, but I know that they are around our planet. He's showing me there's several of those ships that are around Earth and the moon. And another planet he's just showing me. What's the blue? Is that Neptune? The blue one, the further one?
Yeah.
They're there also.
Oh wow. I wanna ask him or ask your guides or my guides about humans' mental illness. It appears to me that human always have a not always, it's wrong words. Human do have many psychiatric disorders and mental illness. I want to know, is that the case for, let's say, Yahyel or Palladian, because they are very similar to us in
Do they
certain,
have mental issues?
yeah, like as many as like humans do.
Yeah. Now my guide is stepping forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They also have mental sickness on different levels. Theirs, it's similar to ours. Theirs has to do with how they came into that incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
If they had certain karmas or debt to pay, one of the ways they can do that is by having that mental illness imbalance.
Yep.
It's not societal like ours. Sometimes ours is caused by societal conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
They have a certain energy sickness. Oh, I guess we can call it chemical imbalance in ours. They have that as well on the higher dimensions. Their energy can be manipulated by negative beings that can cause that.
Right. I see. So they do have that many psychiatric disorders like humans as well.
Yes.
I see. My next one, I want to ask about the flying rods. Have you heard about flying rods? ROD?
No, I have not.
Okay. It's certain like a flying rods. They fly super fast in the sky. People do capture them on the camera, and nobody know where they came from. It's called a flying rods. It's really, really fast.
Okay, I'm asking my guide. She's saying elementals?
Elementals.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing I want to ask Gendo or your guides is about unconditional love. I want to ask, is there such thing as a purest unconditional love? Because what I see is from our galactic races or even our guides, it's more like a contractual relationship. They help us. They also gain some knowledge from earthly like a life. And other like Palladians or Syrians helping us, they also gain some benefits too. So from what I can see, yes, there's a love, but it's also some kind of trade in between. Is this purely unconditional love?
Between the guides and you?
Level. Yes. Let's start with this one first, because I see this is conditional love in a nice way. in a benevolent way, because you take something from them, they give you something, you also in exchange for something.
Unconditional love, my guide is answering this. Unconditional love can be described in many ways. Even though, yes, you may have a contract with your guides to guide you through this life, unconditional love is the act and the action. Regardless of how you treat each other, you still have that deep love for each other that's untainted. That's unconditional love. Contract may not have anything to do with it. It's all in you. Even if you did not have that contract with your guide, they would still have that same love for you. When you take that contract away, does that relationship still exist?
Yeah.
Yes. That's unconditional love.
Okay, say if my parents do love me and they help me because I'm their daughter. See, there's a condition involved, because they won't obviously love anyone walking on the street, because based on the condition that I'm their child. Your teachers love you because you are her teacher. So it's so what you say is my parents' love towards me, it's not pure unconditional love. There's certain contractual love relationship.
Well, those are not the best examples, my guide is saying, because some mother or some parental relationships are not meant to be unconditional love. And so therefore they're not. They feel like they have to love you because that's what we have been conditioned to believe. But in some cases, that's not true. The best example would be animals, I guess. Or even a child, because a child comes into this world with unconditional love for their parents. Yep. Until all the conditioning happens, right?
Yep.
They're able to view you in such a pure way that it doesn't matter how you treat them. They love you anyway. That's unconditional love. It has nothing to do with contracts. It has to do with within, how you express your love for someone. You're able to overlook a lot. And you see that person for who they truly are. That's unconditional love. Even when they're not being so nice.
I see. Okay. My last question for Gandalf's race is, does he or she got any advice for our human beings, especially the conflicts between male and females on Earth?
Oh, okay. He's saying there is much more pain to come, but try to remember this is part of the process. You kind of have to go into darkness a little bit before you can ascend to light. So stay connected to spirit is what he's saying, because that's what they did. That's what they had to do.
Yeah.
They had to get rid of religion. That's one main thing. And became more spiritual. That's what helped them along the way. We're sort of looking at our future when we look at them.
Yeah.
Because they're 300 years ahead of us.
Yeah. They will be our really good teacher because they just came through very similar situation, sort of, similar.
So religion is the one major thing that they had to overcome. They didn't get rid of it completely, but they got rid of what didn't serve them.
How they got rid of them? Is that just by the way of raising awareness?
Raising awareness, part of the process, the evolutionary process.
Okay.
Because they realized that that is what divided them. It gave them so much knowledge, but it also divided them.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
One second. Many events took place to unite them also, like the invasions of other beings.
Mm-hmm.
So that all of that was a derivative of their coming together and where they are now.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
That will do. Look, thank you so much, Gendo. Thank you so much for your help, and thanks for coming through. Really appreciate your help.
He's bowing and sending energy. The female was next to him the whole time, but she didn't speak.
Did she got any messages for us before we leave?
She's not speaking. I think she's just purely there to give him energy.
Okay.
And me, I got a double dose of energy from them. I'm getting dizzy. Okay, so
All right, that will
thank you, Shao. Thank you, everyone, for joining, for watching. I will see you on the next one, and much love.
Much love. Thanks.